Hello and thanks for joining this webinar. So in today's webinar we are going to cover how to use AI tools for compliance work. Okay, before I start, let's just wait maybe a minute for everyone to join. Yeah, while we are waiting, can you just let me know where you're joining from? So I'm joining in from Zagreb, from Croatia. So if you could let me know just the city and the country where you're from, just to get a feeling on where everyone is watching this webinar. Okay, while I'm waiting for your responses, just a couple of notes here. So first of all, we are recording this webinar, and if you join the webinar through LinkedIn or through YouTube, then you will be able to see actually the webinar on the same page where you're watching the live webinar now. And if you joined, or actually if you signed up for the webinar through Advisera website, then you can actually see, you will be able to see the recording of the webinar on the same page where you registered for this live webinar. You will see also the recording there. Okay, second thing, you'll be able to download the presentation deck from this webinar, and actually at the end of the webinar I'll let you know where to find the link to download it. So if you can stick to the end of the webinar, then you'll see the link actually to download it. Okay, I see some people letting me know where they're from. Okay, so California from United States, great, thank you. Norwich from UK, great, thank you. Thanks for letting me know. Great. Okay, so welcome to this webinar, how to use Experta AI Copilot for cybersecurity and ISO compliance. My name is Dejan Kosutic and I'm the main ISO 27001 NIS2 and DORA expert at Advisera. And Advisera is a company that makes compliance easy to understand and simple to use. And this webinar today is will last approximately 40, maybe 45 minutes, depending on the number of questions you'll have. And by all means, please do send as many questions as you want. So the idea is really to kind of answer your questions, and basically you can send these questions as I go through the presentation. You don't have to wait for this Q&A session at the end. We will have this Q&A session, but again, you can actually send your questions even before. Okay, good. So let me move on to the next slide. So why is this topic of AI tools important? Well, it's important for a couple of reasons, but I would say probably the most important reason is actually that AI is really threatening, to replace compliance professionals. And when I say compliance professionals, I mean consultants, but also let's say I don't know, security officers, compliance officers, so anyone actually that is really in charge of doing the compliance in their company. Why is there this threat? Because as you probably follow the news, AI is getting more and more powerful, more and more, I would say, alike a real person, and therefore there is this big, I would say, fear of actually taking many jobs, including these compliance jobs. So what I'll present in today's webinar is Advisera's product called Experta, which is designed not actually to replace professionals. It's actually designed to act as a co-worker or a co-pilot, whatever let's say term you want to use, and basically something that actually helps you work in compliance, I would say, in an easier, in a better way, in a quicker way, without actually replacing a person. So basically this is the concept that you will see during the webinar today. And yeah, the webinar is intended really for consultants, both for senior consultants who already have quite a lot of experience, but also for junior consultants who are really new in this business. Also for any governance or compliance professionals, so like security officers or I don't know, quality managers. So basically anyone that is really doing this for a living. All right, so one of my main points today is really that professionals who actually know how to use AI tools will, I would say, have a competitive advantage, will have an advantage over let's say people who are not using AI. And just to draw a parallel here, nowadays it's really hard to imagine anyone dealing with compliance if he or she doesn't use a computer. I mean, it's silly of me to say something like this, but it wasn't silly like in 1992 maybe, right? Or 1990 or 1995 even, right? So, you know, imagine that you are now, let's say from this computer perspective in 1990, and that you are considering whether you need a computer. I mean, the choice is obvious. The same thing is now with AI. It's not a question of whether you should use it. The question is, you know, how quickly or for what exactly are you going to use this AI? Because if you're not, I would say, if you're not quick enough, if you're not proficient enough, you're going to lose, I would say, your competitiveness as a professional. All right, so let's see the agenda. So first I'll explain very briefly what is this Experta, this AI power product that I'm going to show you. Of course, I'm going to show you in detail how it works, what are the main modules. I'll also show you a use case. So basically, let's say that you want to work on an internal audit, and I'll show you actually how you can work as an internal auditor with this tool. I'll show you pricing and options. So basically, you'll see that there is a free version, but also there is a paid version of this Experta. I'll explain this. These are very often asked questions, you know, about privacy, security, how AI is used, can you trust this AI, these kind of things. And I'll also show you briefly upcoming modules. So basically, what are the things that we are planning to do or to develop in this new Experta. Okay, good. So first of all, what is Experta, or first of all, what is not? What Experta is not? Because very often, you know, people are asking, okay, can I use Experta instead of GRC? And just to explain, GRC stands for Governance, Risk and Compliance. So these are various tools or softwares, you know, that you can actually use for automating GRC or Governance, Risk and Compliance. And Experta is not a replacement for GRC. So Experta is something that is, as you will see later on, it's basically a co-pilot that helps you with, let's say, of speeding up various tasks, but not really, it's not replacing, I would say, a traditional GRC. Also, Experta is not a replacement for ChatGPT, or I'm not sure if you're using ChatGPT or if you're using, I don't know, Claude from Anthropic, or if you're using Google Gemini. So it's not a replacement for that. So if you want to get these beautifully crafted answers from AI, it's better if you use ChatGPT. So Experta is not really made for that purpose, and it's not really something that is designed to be. So what then is Experta? First of all, Experta is, of course, obviously AI-powered application. So you will see that actually it uses AI basically in every step that when you work on it, when you work with it. Basically, when you say co-pilot, basically we mean that it is designed actually to work together with our users, with these compliance professionals. It is not really designed to replace them, okay? So as you will see when I show you these screens how it works, it basically helps you speed up the work. It doesn't actually automate things in such a way that compliance professionals are not needed. So it's completely designed with, I would say, compliance professionals in mind. And if I may use this term, so it's a kind of a Swiss Army knife. And for those who are not really familiar with this expression, basically it means that it has different functions within one, let's say, product. And so as you will see, Experta has different things that you can actually do with it, and basically as a whole it gives you, I would say, some kind of a value. So the idea is really to think of it not as a thing that does one thing, I mean a product that does one thing. It's really, let's say, there you will see several modules so that where you can actually do very different things. Okay, now without further ado, let me show you actually how this Experta looks like. So let me just switch the screen. Okay, let me start with this knowledge base. Now, just to explain this, we actually launched the first version of Experta 2 years ago or so, and this first version of Experta did already have this knowledge base. And actually this new version of Experta that you are looking at now, we launched it yesterday, so it's really a completely new thing. However, we took over this knowledge base from knowledge base module from the old Experta. So if you already are using the old Experta, then you will see this new Experta with this knowledge base, and this knowledge base is, I would say, almost the same as in the old Experta. So this part didn't change much. There are some improvements that you will see when compared to the old Experta, but I would say the core functionality of this knowledge base is very similar to old Experta. What you will see, of course, is a different user interface. This user interface is, I would say, pretty different from before. Anyway, if you're using this for the first time, what you will see is this in the central part, actually, what standards are covered with this knowledge base. Just to explain what is behind this knowledge base. Actually, we in Advisera, as you know, we are already a long time in this business. What we actually did, we uploaded all of our knowledge into this Advisera knowledge base, as we call it, and then enabled Experta to search through this knowledge base for any kind of a question related to these three standards. So currently there are something like 40,000 questions and answers in this knowledge base. Anyway, let me show you how this works. So let's say that you're interested in ISO 27001. You open it up, and then you have some, let's say, most common questions that you can ask. So let's say that I want to ask, let's say, how to document, right? And then, as you can see, it actually lists all the clauses and also the annexes here. So basically, that I can choose which to understand which documents are needed. And then let's say that I'm interested in performance evaluation. Okay, I click this here. And as you can see here on the right hand side, it actually starts to provide me with an answer. So the question was how to document clause 9. And then basically it says, here are the questions about documenting the clause 9, performance evaluation. Click any questions to read the answer. So how to document clause 9.1, how to document clause 9.2, how to document clause 9.3. Let's say I want to get the question about documenting clause 9.2, internal audit. I click tell me more, and what you will see now, it actually gets me the answer. So ISO clause requires writing of the following documents: internal audit program, internal audit reports. The following documents are not mandatory. Companies can decide whether to write them: internal audit checklist and so on. So basically, as you can see, it actually this system enables you to dig into a particular topic very quickly. So let me close this. Let's say that I want to ask something very different. Let's say how to implement, right? And then we already have all of these things. Let's say that I want to ask regarding support, how to implement clause 27001 clause 7. And then actually it breaks down per each clause. So 7.1, 7.2, and 7.4, and so on. So let's say how to implement clause 7.1 competence. I click tell me more. And then it tells me exactly what you have to do. So define competencies, evaluate current competencies, provide training or other action, and so on. And then I can, of course, click more, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. It's very easy actually to drill deeper into any kind of topic. So let's say, okay, maintain records, tell me more. And let's see what it answers. Okay. So basically, this could include keeping evidence such as certificates, recommendations, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, all of these things are actually coming directly from this knowledge base. And as you can see, it always tells you the source, right? So whenever I ask a question, it will tell you what the source is. Okay, so far I was basically only clicking. I didn't actually type in any question. Basically, all this basically came through this kind of drop-down menu where I can select questions. Now, also what is available here, you will see some kind of similar question. So let's say that I want to ask what is an ISMS scope. And then basically it tells me here what it exactly is. And if you noticed here, actually the suggested questions changed because the system actually sees what is being asked, and then it figures out what are the most similar questions to these. So how to define the ISMS scope? I click it here and you will get the answer. Okay, again, you have these questions here. Where should we define the ISMS scope? Let's say that I want to click this one. and basically tells you, okay, you have to do it in the scope document. So again, this is the second way to actually ask questions. So the first one was basically to click anything here. The second one was to click these suggested questions here. Now the third way to ask a question is basically to type it in here. So let's say that I want to see, I don't know, what are the controls from Annex A.5. Let's see if it knows the answer. Okay, here you go. So basically it does know the answer. The controls from the Annex A5 are the following: A.5.1, 5.2, and so on and so forth. Again, I can, you know, ask for tell me more. So classification of information, tell me more. And it gives you exactly what it is, right? It gives you also some examples. And by the way, when I click this tell me more, actually it shows me this pinned Q&A so that I do not forget the original question that I was asking. So let's say that I want to go further. A.5.32 intellectual property rights, tell me more. And it gives you the answer, right? So I just wanted to show you that there are three ways for you to ask a question. So either through this drop down in the central part of the screen, or suggested questions, or basically typing in any kind of a question, and how easy it is actually to drill deeper into any of these topics. So as you can see, it always suggests you the source. Of course, I can ask a very unrelated question, and let's, I don't know, ask which computer is the best. Obviously, this is not going to be an Advisera's knowledge base, so let's just see how it actually behaves. And okay, couldn't find the answer in Advisera's knowledge base, initiating web search, and it says, okay, it suggests Apple iMac, which I like the choice, but okay, it's not the point. The point is actually that it doesn't show that this comes from Advisera knowledge base. It shows you what kind of sources you have. So basically it provides you the links actually where it got all of these answers. Okay, so this is a module called knowledge base, and I'll show you some other modules, but let me see a question I got from Julia. Can you also make my own prompt, or I need to navigate through the one that you already... Okay, so I'll answer the question. You can basically ask anything on your own that you want to ask. Okay, good. Now let's go for this other second module. This is write documents. Now this one did not exist in the old Experta. This is completely new. Now what we did here was basically, let me just switch this company. Okay, this one. What we actually did here, we, I mean, if you ever visited the Advisera website, you've probably seen all of these, you know, templates. I mean, documentation templates for various standards. And I have a question. What does the expert check provide? Okay, that's a good one. Actually, I'm sorry, but I'll have to go back and just explain what this means. So I'm going back to the knowledge base. And here you actually see when I get an answer, there is this expert check. So let's say that you are not sure if the answer is really correct. Let's say that you have a feeling that it might not be correct. In this case, you actually click this expert check. And what it does is that actually it triggers our human expert to review this particular answer and then get back to you and explain to you if this was really a good answer or not good answer. So in this way, we always enable our users to keep human in the loop, right? This is the expression usually used, human in the loop. So whenever you're not really sure if actually Experta provided you with the right answer, you can always click this check answer, and then our real expert, I mean human expert, will get you the will get back to you with the answer. I mean correct answer. Anyway, thanks for this question. It was a very good question. Now let me move on to write documents. So as you basically so as I started explaining, we in Advisera obviously sell many of these documentation templates. I mean toolkits with these templates for policies, procedures, and so on and so forth. What we've learned from our clients is that they very often don't have the budget to purchase the whole toolkit, right? Because toolkit typically costs around, I don't know, $1,000, even more. And what we enabled actually here is for paid users to actually download individual templates without purchasing the whole toolkit. And we also made it very easy to actually select a particular template, and we also are uploading all of our toolkits here. So let me actually show you how this works. So let's say that, so currently we have three standards covered here with this template. So one is this NIS2. NIS2 is, by the way, cybersecurity regulation, cybersecurity directive here in Europe. And when you open it, you will see actually several languages here. Why are we doing this? Because there is, based on NIS2 as a directive, each country has to publish their own laws and regulations. And then we are creating, let's say, specific NIS2 toolkit for each and every country, which is, of course, translated. So let's say that I want Italian, and then I click simply next. And then what you will see here are several folders. And basically, these folders are equal to the steps in your implementation. So, for example, what we suggest is this first folder here, 𝗬𝗲𝗶𝗀𝗶. I'm not speaking English. I'm not speaking Italian, but I know that this is about support of the senior management for the implementation. This one is the project plan. This one is the I think initial training. These kind of things. So in any of these folders, you will actually see these documents, which you can actually create and personalize as part of this system here. Anyway, let's go back. So NIS2, we have 27001 is in these four languages, and we have DORA, which is only in English. Now, for the sake of simplicity, I'll select 27001 in English and click next. And then I'll show you actually how basically easy it is to create any kind of a document here. So let's say that I want a risk assessment and risk treatment methodology. As you can see, this is based here. And by the way, I can also search for this by simply typing this methodology. Okay, there you go. It automatically shows what I'm searching here for. I can also search by a clause number. So I think it's 6.1. Yeah, so let me see. Risk treatment. Yeah, here you go. It basically shows all these things here. So it's very easy to find a document either by search by name or by clause that you want to comply with. Anyway, let's say that I want this one here. I click next. And then it shows me the preview of the document. Why? Because for every document that I want to download, it actually takes one document credit, meaning it's something that I actually, as a user, this is something that goes into, let's say, the quota of what I can use as a paid user. I can take a review of this and basically say, fine, okay, go next. And then it will take, okay, so this is what happens. Now, actually, we are in this wizard mode. This means that, as you will see here, you always have these explanations here, but I'm not going to read them. Basically, what the wizard does, it actually asks you several questions that you will then that will be used for adapting this document, for personalizing this document for your specific use. So basically, it says here, what is the confidentiality level of this document? You can use blah blah blah. It actually suggests you basically what you can do, and also suggests you internal use. So let's say that I'm fine. No, that actually I want this label to be let's say confidential. Okay, and I simply go further. And then the next question is, who is in charge of coordinating risk assessment treatment? For example, this could be blah, 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 and so on. Let's say that I have a risk officer, and I move on. What is the job title of the person in charge of managing security in your company? This could be CISO, and so on and so on. So again, a lot of suggestions here. Let's say this is CISO. What is the job title of the person to approve this document? Let's say this is the CEO, and so on. I can answer this wizard if I want. If I don't want to answer further, I simply click download button, and I will actually download this template, even though it's not fully personalized, because as you can see, there are 6 questions in total. I answered 4 of them, but nevertheless, I can download it right away. It takes maybe a couple of seconds. Okay, it's already downloaded. Let me see how it looks like. Okay, so basically this is the downloaded now a document on my local disk. So it's not hosted anywhere in the cloud. It's on your, I mean, in this case, it's on my disk. So I already inserted previously this logo, so it's automatically inserted into the document. the company name is already automatically inserted. This is how I titled this company. As you can see, it already inserted directly this confidential as the level of confidentiality. This is one of the questions that it asked through the wizard. It inserted automatically the headers, as you can see, company name, this label, and of course I have the full document now here. Of course I can, you know, play. By the way, you can see it inserted the company name here. Also in some other places, and since this is already on my local disk, I can write whatever I can do with this document, whatever I want. And let me just see some other things that it inserted already. Okay, so the process risk assessment is implemented through the risk assessment table. The risk assessment process is coordinated by risk officer. If you remember, this is exactly what I also entered as a person who is coordinating. So all of these things are automatically inserted from the wizard. Of course, as with all of our templates, you have these comments here. So basically, you can do whatever. These comments here are helping you to fill out the documents. If you don't need them, you can delete them. You can also change anything. So let's say that I want to write risk register here, and so on and so forth. So basically, this is how this document wizard works. Okay, let me close this. And I go back to here to this write document wizard. Now, when I actually go back and I start writing some other documents, then it will automatically remember the results that I was entering here, and then it will suggest these things. So let me just see if I can show you how this works. So let me just close this like this. I can go back. So let's say that I want to go again for English toolkit, and that I want to use some other documents. Let's say procedure for identification of requirements. I click next. I click next here. Okay. And now I'm in the mode where I receive questions for this other document. However, what has changed now, it says you have entered this previously, right? If you remember, I entered for the label, I entered the confidential. So basically the system remembers this and then also automatically suggests this answer so that I can click, so that I can speed up the filling out of this document. I just click use this answer, and there you go. It's very quick, right? So the point being here is that once you actually start using this, each document that you fill out, it actually becomes much faster because it already remembers these answers and fills them out. Okay, let me see some questions. Cheryl is asking, I'm currently in my last week of employment at my current job. Can I get this Experta AI Copilot at my new job? Of course, we'll be very happy if you use Experta. I'll show you also the pricing, and I'll show you what is in the free version of Experta, and also I'll show you what is the pricing if you want to pay. Okay, Giuseppe is asking, are you planning to include ISO 45001 as well? Yes, definitely. So 45 on our roadmap are 45,000 for documents. We have 9001, 14, and 45. As you know, 14,001 will change in the next couple of weeks. Once it changes, actually we'll publish 14,001 documents first. 9,001 will probably change as a standard in, I think, September or October. And also 45,001 is, I don't think it's due for a change. So we'll basically go for this with this older, existing version of 45,001. Good. What can I also show you with this here? Yeah, I mean, you can actually switch between these document wizard mode and with the chatbot mode. So if you want to go back to chatbot mode, you can simply continue asking your questions about 27001. So what are ISO 27001 implement steps? Okay, I made a mistake, but it doesn't, as you can see, I made a typo here, but it recognized the question, and basically it gave you gives the answer here. If I want to go back to the wizard mode, I simply click here, wizard mode, I'm back here. So it's very easy actually to switch between these two modes. Okay, a question from 𝗂𝗲𝗴𝗶𝘀. With regards to templates for NIS2, is there different ones for different countries depending on national legislation? Yes, definitely. So let me actually show you this. It's a good question. So let me go back to these toolkits. So NIS2. So I was already showing you Italian. So let me go and click next here. So let's actually take a look at this number 5. This is about the methodology, right? And you can actually see here the references to the local law. Again, I'm not Italian speaker, but it says something here about this ACN. This is their local cybersecurity agency, and actually it shows you exactly this methodology complies with these particular clauses of these ACN decisions. So this is, for example, for Italy, right? But let me go back now to, for example, Croatia, and then I go next, and let's see exactly the same document. So this is number 5, and here you can actually see this cybersecurity law, this in this article. You can see this cybersecurity regulation, right? Exactly this article in cybersecurity regulation, and you also see this catalog of controls. So basically, this is also let's say an implementing the regulation for in Croatia, particularly in Croatia. So my point being is that for NIS2 we actually, well, we had to, because if we want to have these documents for NIS2 usable for each and every country, we had to adapt them for local legislation in each country, and of course translate them. So if I went on and downloaded this document, you will have everything in Croatian, obviously. And by the way, it would also ask you questions in this language. So if I went on, you would see questions in Croatian, and you would actually answer them in Croatian. All right, so this is and then so this is the second module I wanted to show you, and the third module is this refined writing. It's a very simple module. It doesn't do something huge. But it's, I would say, useful. So basically, first it's about helping you write nicely. Okay. So what it does is it actually asks you what kind of style you want. And then I said, okay, I want executive style, formally professional, with concise and direct and active voice. This is usually how I like to write. And then I click next, and then basically I type in here any text that I want the AI to rewrite so that it sounds nicer. So let's say that I'm writing an email. I don't know, dear, I don't know, John, please find attached a document related to internal audit. Please review this and let me know if you, I don't know, want to make some improvements, and so on and so forth. So let's say that this is my email, and then I say refine, and then it takes a couple of seconds and it will show me. So if you scroll further, it will actually show me, it actually also already given me a subject. it's clever. Anyway, and basically rewritten this text so that it sounds more professional, actually according to this style that I was defining in the previous step. So basically this is how it works. So it's, again, it's not very sophisticated, but I would say I mean, I'm writing, emails and messages all day, and I'm writing lots of text. By the way, if you're writing a blog post, you can also upload it here. If you're writing, I don't know, a report, you can also upload it here and it will rewrite it. If you, I don't know, whatever you're writing, I mean, if you're writing a script, you can also upload it here to make it more professional. So all of these things are possible here. All right, so these were the modules. Now let me also show you a little bit around a user interface, just for you to get a better understanding on what is displayed here. Okay, so here you have some terms and privacy. This is more legal stuff, but here you actually have these credits. Okay, so basically these credits is the number of questions you can ask. Okay, so most of these questions that I'm asking take you 1 credit. So let me show you. So what are the steps in for implementing ISO 27000 control? So pay attention, it was 83 when I click this. So I'm asking a question. Okay, it's now 84. Okay, so basically I've spent 1 credit for this answer. Documents is the same thing but for documents. So up till now I have downloaded 9 documents. If I went on and uploaded the next one, then it will be 10 out of 12. Here, this is basically, these are help articles. So when I click this, you will actually get to this help center. And here you can actually read lots of useful things about Experta. What might be the most interesting part here are these examples. Okay, so let's say that you want some ideas on how to use Experta. So let's say that you're a junior professional that you want to learn about the standard. You click here, use case, learning about the standard, and here you go. So basically it gives you an overview of basically how you can do it. Let's go back. Let's say that you want to, I don't know, perform an internal audit. You click here and it gives you, an idea on how to perform an internal audit using Experta. And so on and so forth. So basically this is what this help center is about. Okay, here you have the contact us. If you click on this, you will see the contact us page. And I'm really begging you here. I mean, when you start using Experta, you will probably see, lots of errors or mistakes or bugs. So please do report them. So it will help us a lot, really, if you report as much of these mistakes as you can, because we also want to improve this product. It's unfortunately not possible really to create a perfect product, and the more, I would say, suggestions from you we get, the better product it will be. So please do use this. Again, I'll show you where to find it. Contact us. You simply click on this and you will actually get on this page, and here you can actually describe what exactly are you suggesting. Maybe you want to suggest a new feature, maybe you want to suggest a new standard, maybe you want to simply notify us that there is a bug. Okay, let us know and we'll fix it. Okay, good. Yeah, and there is also this talk to expert. So basically this is something that is enabled only for paid users. There are 2 things that you can do. One is that you can actually speak to onboarding expert. So if you want someone to teach you how to use Experta, then you would use this onboarding. And the second one here is for cybersecurity expert. And yeah, it says this feature is enabled only for subscribers of the business plan. So here in this demo account, I don't have this business plan. If I did, then this would also be enabled for me. So basically what here we enable is that if you're on this business plan, that basically you can actually schedule this call whenever you want with our experts. And then you can discuss, anything that is kind of, let's say, of bigger importance that you maybe can't really discuss directly in Experta. So this is also where we actually go towards enabling users really to, use more, let's say, deeper expertise, so to say. Okay, good. We'll share now a link with you let's say you will see a link to this help center where you can actually describe the main modules. So if you want to see a detailed description of main modules, you can simply see this particular link. Also, the second link that you will see now in the chat window is this examples of how to use Experta. So basically, if you want, you can use these also this link to open this help article about examples. Okay, good. What else? Let me see. I think I also wanted to mention something here, but now it slipped my mind. Yeah. Okay. Now let me show you. Also, yeah, I think we can now move forward and then, yeah. Okay, so yeah, what I wanted to show you here is this basically icon. You can actually edit your profile. You'll see plans and billing, but I'll come to this later. So this is something that I'll show you. Okay, very well. Now let me move on to the next slide. And basically this is around use case performing an internal audit. Yeah, so let me then go, okay, let me switch very briefly. So this is the next slide. I'm going to show you very briefly how you can actually perform an internal audit as an auditor. So going back to my presentation, to Experta. So when you actually do an internal audit, first you have to create some documents, right? You have to, if the company doesn't have internal audit procedure, internal audit program, and internal audit checklist. So basically, let's say that I want to do this for 27001. I go here, English, next. Let's say that I'm interested in internal audit. Let's see what it shows me. Okay, internal audit procedure, internal audit program, internal audit report, internal audit checklist. Okay, and then I select any of these documents, and then I, as I've already shown you, you can actually personalize them and then download them to your disk. So this would be basically your first step as an internal auditor. The second step is basically for you to, if you are new in auditing, is for you to actually understand what are the requirements of the standard and also what the auditor will be looking for. And for that purpose, you actually go for this knowledge base. And let's say that you want to audit ISO 27001. Let's say that you want to audit context of the organization. Okay. And then in this case, let's say that I want to learn about the basics. Okay. So then you go for this, the basics of clause 4, context of the organization. And then it tells me basically what are the questions. What is clause 4.1? Clause understanding the context of the organization. I click tell me more. And it actually gives me the definition of 4.1, exactly what this means, and so on. So this is how I find about the requirements. Now, I want to find out as an auditor what kind of evidence will I be looking for this particular clause. And then I go here, what evidence will the auditor look for? I open this one. I go for clause 4. And I again get several questions here. So let's say that I want, what will the auditor ask for regarding clause 4.1? Tell me more. Okay, here you go. So basically, during the certification audit, the auditor will check the following regarding the clause 4.1. Blah, 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 all of these things. Okay, it mentions certification audit, but as you probably know, there is no difference in let's say, certification and internal audit when it comes to finding evidence, right? Basically, the evidence is the same. So, in the second step, basically, this is, how you actually can use Experta to find out both the requirements and the evidence that you need to look for. And then in the third step, of course, you will perform the audit. Right now, we do not have a module which will support you actually doing the actual audit. This is something that we will be adding in the future. And then as the last step, you have to write non-conformities and corrective actions. Non-conformities and the internal audit report. Now, for that purpose, when starting to write non-conformities, let's say that you want to actually write a non-conformity that you're not really sure how it should look like. Okay, so let's say that you want to write the non-conformity. Here is text of non-conformity. The auditor has found that the company did not have all, let's say, information in the statement of applicability according to ISO 27001 clause, I think it's 6.1.3 if I'm not wrong. What is missing is are the justifications for exclusions. Let's say that this is a non-conformity that you found, and then you simply, if you are not happy with how it sounds, you simply click refine. Let's see how it looks like now. The auditor identified non-conformity. The company failed to include all necessary information in statement of applicability as required by clause, specifically the justification for exclusions are absent. Okay, whether this is better or not, okay, this is for you to judge, but you see the point. This is how you actually make your text more, I would say, readable for anyone to use. All right, let me go back to my presentation. So this was an example, a use case for internal auditor. By the way, we will share now with you a link to a free download. It's called How to Perform an Internal Audit Using ISO 19011. So if you're interested in internal audit itself, you can actually download this free material from Advisera website. Okay, good. Now, let me explain you briefly who actually Experta is 4. And basically we see 3 main audiences for Experta. First one are experienced consultants. So if you're already longer time in consulting business, then you can actually use Experta, for example, for creating training materials, right? Let's say that you do training as part of your consulting activities with the clients. You'll be able to actually use Experta to create this training in a much faster way. And by the way, you will see that the next module that we will create is about creating training materials. Second use case is that you can, of course, write new documents. It's very easy actually to write new documents, especially if you want to switch to another standard that you didn't work with before. You know, it's very easy actually to download any of these documents here. You can also perform internal audits, for example, and so on. So basically all of these things are good for experienced consultants. Now, you might also, the second targeted group are governance and compliance professionals. So this could be, let's say, I don't know, security officer or a quality manager, or, you know, someone who is actually working within the company on these compliance tasks. And there, you know, you can, use cases for those people are, I don't know, learning what the auditor will ask during the audit, learn how to maintain a management system, what activities you have to do as a part of maintenance. You can also train your junior colleagues. Let's say that you want junior colleagues to learn about stuff. Then this is also something that basically you can do. If you are a junior consultant, if you're only entering this, let's say, world of compliance, then you can actually use Experta to learn about the new standard, right? Also to learn about the best practices, also to learn how to run an implementation project. So basically all of these things are already in Experta, and if you I would say dig deep enough, then it's something that this is something that you can learn very fast. Because as you probably realize, you know, the biggest, problem now in the if you are a junior consultant is that it's very hard to find a new job at consultancy services, and so this is something that you can actually overcome, because you can learn. Typically, I don't know, 5 years ago it took 3, 4, 5 years actually for a junior consultant to get all the knowledge and to get up to speed as a senior consultant. Now with tools like Experta, it's not 3 or 5 years, it's actually 3 or 5 months, because you have all this knowledge at your fingertips. It's very easy to get all of these knowledge now. Okay. By the way, if you're interested in learning about consulting work, then we'll share now with you links to 2 courses. One is the beginner's course for consultants, and the other one is advanced course for consultants. So if you want to become a consultant, or if you're already a consultant and want to kind of learn more, then you can actually use these two courses. And by the way, these courses are fully free, that there is no charge for them. Okay, now let's go for pricing and options. Let me switch the screen and actually go here. Okay, I think you can see it here. So if I click here and actually go for plans and billing, you will see all the plans here. And you can see also the same prices here on the Advisera website. So I'll show you how this looks like on Advisera website. So this is the landing page for Experta. When I scroll down, I'll see the pricing, and basically this is it. So here's the free plan, okay, and it's always free. So there is no like trial period. So you can keep this free plan always open, and it actually enables you to use 3 credits per day. So if you translate into questions, this means 3 questions per day. And by the way, I got a question from Robin. The question is, does refining also cost credits? Yes. So 1 refine costs you 1 credit. So basically, this is something that you actually that is included in. Credits are also spent for refining text. And then we have this growth plan, which costs $45 per month. And this one actually includes 250 credits per month, okay? And it also includes 1 document per month. So you can ask 250 questions per month, which would be basically what? Around 10 questions per day, which is pretty good. and you can also download 1 document per month. Now, if you are experienced professional, then this is the business plan. Okay, it costs $100, and you have 750 credits per day, so roughly 30 questions per day. And you can download 3 documents per month. Okay, and by the way, you also have these live consultations with an expert. This is also included in this business plan. There is also annual payments. If I switch to annual, I'll do it like this. Then you will see that you actually get a 20% discount. So it's $450 per year annually. But the good thing is that you actually get this quota of all the 12 documents right away. So you don't need to, wait each month to download 1 document. Same thing for this business plan, $1,000 per year. And so you actually have 40 documents here. So again, there is no limit of 3 documents per month. Actually, you get 40 right away. You can download them right away, and you have 9,000 credits throughout the year. Of course, there is a custom plan. So, I mean, if you want to, let's say, get more credits or something, if you're, let's say, for example, we are having consultants who are using our documentation toolkits for several of their clients. In that case, we would create a custom plan for you. You can also pay in euros if you want. If you're from Europe, you simply click here, switch to euros, and there you see all the prices will be displayed in euros. Okay, so going back to my presentation, so as I started to say, there are 3 target groups here, and basically these business plans are made for a particular target group. So this growth plan is for junior professionals, and this business plan is for experienced professionals. Okay, good. Yeah, by the way, we'll share now a link to Experta. So if you want to sign up, you can of course sign up for this free plan, and then decide if you want to start paying. So you'll actually see the link for signing up for this for a free account when you open this link. Okay, let me now go through a couple of very, I would say, important issues here. And this is about security, privacy, and how AI is used. First of all the data you upload is based on servers in Germany. Of course, they are GDPR compliant. With regards to security, we are using this row-level security, encryption at rest, encryption in transit, secure authentication. I didn't write this here. So all of these, let's say, technical security measures are here to actually make sure that no one else can access your data, only you. So it's very, of course, important. People are very often asking, which model are we using? So we generally use this GPT-5 from OpenAI. OpenAI is basically the biggest company, and what is very important is that they guarantee that all this data that is used when answering these prompts will never actually be used for training their AI models. This is very important, and this is basically why we are choosing this kind of providers, where we really trust that they will not misuse this data that basically is entered by our customers. So again, the main principle is we never use this data that you're entering to train the AI models. Now, also very important are the data sources, because the better the data inputs are, the better the outputs are. And I think I already mentioned that for this knowledge base, we actually uploaded all of our, let's say, all that we learned about these 3 standards into this Advisera knowledge base. And again, there are something like 40,000 questions and answers there. And this is actually what serves, this is what is the data source for the knowledge base to actually answer these questions. So whenever you see that that Experta answers this question, it probably actually came from this source. Also, you will see that there is this library of more than 1,000 templates for various standards. Again, this is something that we created, and of course, this is our proprietary. These are our proprietary templates. So basically, this is how we ensure security and privacy and trustworthiness of this AI. And we'll also share now with you a link to this Experta Trust Center, where you actually have an explanation in even more detail on how we actually handle these things. I mean, security, privacy, and AI. Okay, upcoming modules. So very shortly, create training. It will be a module that creates actually training materials. We will soon be adding ISO 42001 documentation and also the knowledge base. We are also going for the risk register. And let me actually show you, just if I go back to Experta. So if I go here for the dashboard, you will actually see all the modules that are already active, so write documents. But you also see these coming soon. Okay, so review documents, document repository, teach me, it's also going to be a new module, create training, process map, a risk assessment and treatment. So here you can actually see, if you want to go for this dashboard, you can actually see which modules we are planning. And by the way, if you actually go for any of these, you can vote for it. So if I hover here, let's say that you like the supply chain risk, you simply click on it, and this will actually give us feedback that this is something that you want us to focus on. Also for these existing ones, let's say that you like how this works, refined writing, then you can actually say it's very helpful or somewhat or not very helpful. So this is also a very good feedback for us to know what's working good. So let's say that I somewhat like this one. Let's say this is my vote here. All right, so let me go back to my presentation and just kind of make a conclusion here and then wrap up the webinar. So I would say that these AI tools are drastically going to change how compliance professionals are performing their work, and to stay relevant, you really need to start to learn how to use these tools. I'm not saying that Experta is the only tool out there. Of course, there are some others, but the point is that without AI, it's like working without the computer. It's not really something that you would like. Okay, so we already shared with you the link to Experta to sign up for this free account. And if you want to schedule a call with our product expert, if you want a short demo of how Experta works, then you can actually also schedule a call with our colleague. You also have this link now in the chat window. All right, good. Now let me go very briefly through Q&A to answer any of your remaining questions. And just a couple of notes here. First of all, you can reach out to me directly to my email address. You can see my email address on the screen now. You can also follow me on YouTube and LinkedIn because on YouTube I publish lots of videos, and in about a couple of weeks I'll start publishing a new series of videos where I'll show how to use various AI tools for compliance work. So this will start maybe next week, but if not in 2 weeks time, and there you can actually learn more how to use AI. On LinkedIn, I always publish some news, new things, new materials, also including 27001 and 42001 and so on. And a third thing that I wanted to tell you is that my next webinar will be about IT suppliers, or it's called actually Must IT Suppliers Comply with NIS 2 or 27001. So if you're interested in this topic, you can actually take a look at, you can click this link to see our upcoming webinars and subscribe, and sign up for this webinar. Okay, good. Let me go briefly through our remaining questions, and then I'll wrap up the webinar. So Alberto was asking, how can we use AI Pilot to have an update risk analysis asset based on ISO 27001 and NIS 2 and DORA? First of all, you can download any of these documents that are here. You have the methodology, you have the risk assessment table, which actually suggests you a list of assets and then threats and vulnerabilities and so on. In the future, we are planning to create a risk register here, which would actually automate, let's say, these things, so it will be much easier. So for now, and of course, in the knowledge base, you can always ask, questions. I have this and this asset. What kind of controls or what kind of risks I might have to this particular control? To that particular asset, or what kind of controls I can actually use from 27001 to cover these risks. So this is something that you can already. This is something that you can actually help in the get the answers there. Okay. Good. Fabian was asking, can we put the AI on local server? If you're asking about Experta, right now it's available only in the cloud, so it's not available as the local, let's say, installation. We might consider this, and we will see what the clients are asking. Of course, if the question is general, then yeah, you can, anytime there is that you have the source, the software and the data and the model, you can always install these things on some, let's say, servers that you actually control. Okay, Nelly is asking, is clicking the next counted as 3 credits already? No, so basically when you actually go, for example, in these Write documents, when I click the next to go to, when I selected the standard and then I selected the language and then I selected the document, it's not going to be counted for those clicks. It's only going to be counted when it actually provides you with an answer. So when you get some useful output, then the credit will be calculated. And by the way, if you go for this help center, there is one article which explains exactly how credits are calculated. So there is one article there. It will show you what is the exactly when and how the credits are calculated. Okay, great. I think these are almost all the questions. So let me just wrap up the webinar. So as I mentioned, this webinar today was, I would say, too short to teach you everything about AI. Obviously, it's not. This was not the purpose of this webinar, but you can learn how to use AI tool simply by signing up for this free account in Experta. In about 10 minutes, we'll publish the link to download this presentation deck. And if you joined through LinkedIn or YouTube, then you will see it in the comment section on the same page where you're watching the webinar now. And if you joined through Zoom, then you will get this email, this link through an email. And you'll also see a short survey. I would appreciate if you could fill this out. It will actually give me a feedback on how I was doing in this webinar today. And this will be all. Thank you very much for your participation, and I hope you have